Now, have you worked on new ABAP syntax or heard about it, or 7.4 or 7.5 syntax? Helen?
No.
No. So SAP is changing, right? Over the period of time, they have brought lots of changes. Lots of changes came into the picture. Earlier R1, then R2, and then R3 came with ECC system, right? ECC system. And in 2015, S4 HANA came. So S4 HANA was primarily based on two things, right? S4 HANA was based on two things mainly, and it was SAP's own database, right? That we will discuss in the upcoming session. SAP's own database and new features of S4 system, new features and new way of handling data was introduced here that was lagging in case of ECC system. So with this, SAP also introduced the new ABAP syntaxes. SAP also introduced the new ABAP syntaxes. Also introduced this new ABAP syntaxes in 7.4 version. When they came with SAP 7.4, S4HANA 7.4, and then with S4 7.5, they also brought some new changes. Also, what they told us that if our company is working on S4 HANA system, if our company is working on S4 HANA system, then it does not means that we need to replace all our existing uh, old syntax code with the new one. It is not mandatory for anyone. You can use the old syntax in the future also. Whatever things we have learned, it is a little bit old syntax, so we can use all those codes in the future also, but we might not be able to get the full benefit of S4HANA because lots of problems are there in our old codes that we need to change. Slowly we will see that benefit of S4HANA. Okay, so what are the changes were made in case of new ABAP syntaxes? Let's see that part one by one. SAP made lots of enhancements in case of your new ABAP syntaxes. What they did was they made some changes in SQL. So SQL enhancements in new ABAP syntax. Lots of changes they made. So new ABAP syntax. Then we have second one, which is ABAP language enhancement. So ABAP language changes and enhancements that they made in new syntax. Let's see them one by one. Yeah. Okay. So now we can directly pass the literals also. Literals in SQL directly. You remember literals? Unnamed data object, right? Then another interesting thing which was introduced was escaping of his host variables. So escaping of host variables, that is using @ sign before the variables. We will see that during the implementation time it will be more easy, but this is just introduction of it. So escaping of host variables was also introduced. Then what we see is we can now specify the columns using the comma separated. So we can specify columns separated by comma. This was also introduced with this one, new ABAP syntax. Then we can use the SQL function also. We can use the SQL functions. For example, seal, coalesce, lots of SQL functions we can now use directly in case of our ABAP programming, since these new features were given. Then what you see is we can use the case expression in our SQL statements. We can directly use the case expressions in our SQL statement also. Okay. We can also use, Alan, tell me what are the aggregate function in SQL? We can use aggregate functions also in the SQL now.
Is it group by?
Yeah, not group by. It is sum, max, min. What I'm missing? Sum, max, min, and average. One more is something. Sum, max, min, average. One is there. I'm missing that. So 5 aggregate functions are there. So we can directly use it in SQL. Okay. Then now we can use more than 20 joins directly. Joins in a single query. That is, you can directly call more than 20 tables data using a single query. So lots of new changes SAP made with this S/4HANA 7.4 and 7.5 version. Now if we talk about ABAP language, what are the changes made in ABAP? So we don't need to declare let's say data object. We can directly go for inline data declaration, that is declaring them while storing the data. So inline data declaration, this was a new thing introduced in case of our ABAP language. Then string concatenation, so we can use the string concatenation using the string operator. This was also introduced, operator. Okay. Then we can use the value expression. So value expression for extracting the values out. Okay, we can go for this one also. Now we can use the table operation. We can use the table operation, which is an alternate for read table. So we can use the table operation directly, which is an alternate for read table. Read table is used to return a single record. So SAP has given a new operation called table operation in case of our new ABAP syntax, which we can directly use. Okay. We can also use corresponding has for moving data from one internal table from one internal table to another. We can directly go for that using corresponding has, and then we can also use new keyword to create the object, to create the class objects. You remember we used new keywords in object oriented programming that was introduced in 7.4. Earlier we were just creating the reference and then we were using the create object to create the object, but now it's 7.4. This new feature was introduced that we can directly go for a new keyword to create our objects. Okay, so let's see these features one by one. I will simply create a new program and there I am going to simply use all of them. Okay, right. All right, so let's start with this inline data declaration and comma separation and this host variable also. So you remember, let's say if I am going for a normal thing, okay, I'll simply go to SE38 and I'll create my new ABAP syntax program. New ABAP syntax. Type executable. I'll pass the package and transport request. Now you remember, if I have to write the data from Mara table, let's say if I have to get data from Mara table, how we are writing the data? First we were creating the structure, right? So we were going for creation of structure. Let's say types begin of ty underscore Mara, no, by Mara. Then I had to declare this Matner type. It's data element which is Matner. Okay, then I'll go for other columns. So mtart type, it's data element mtart. Then we need to declare the other things, for example mbrsh. So mbrsh type mbrsh, then matcal, so matcal type matcal material group, and one more column I will check. So which column I should take? Let's select this mains. So mains type mains. Okay, and end of ty underscore Mara. This was what I was doing, right? Then we need to declare this internal table data lt Mara type table of ty Mara and ls Mara type ty Mara, right? This is the same thing we are doing. Then we were writing our query. So select Matner mtart mbrsh matcal meins from Mara table. So Mara into table lt Mara. This was what we were doing. Or if we had to filter it out, we were using the select option kind of thing, right? Then we were performing some operation and then we're simply displaying to user, and that can be ALV, that can be normal write statement, any feature. So let's go directly for normal write statement into ls Mara, and I'll go for and loop. So and loop, so perform the write statement here. Mara Matner ls Mara mtart and mbrsh ls Mara matcal plus Mara basic unit of measure, so MEINS, right? You remember all these things, right? We were doing the same thing for writing the logic. This is my old syntax. Go for execute, it will return the data. Now what SAP is saying, no need to declare this structure, no need to create the objects, but what we can do is instead we can go for comma separation here, comma separation, comma separation, comma separation. From Mara table into, now we can directly go for inline data declaration. So add data lt Mara. You don't need to go for all these things. This is not needed. This is not needed. Let's say I'm commenting this. Now see here, it will not produce any error. See, no syntax error found. Inline data declaration. Whenever we need, we directly declare the data instead of going for all this. Let's say if I have to use 100 columns, I will create a structure of 100 columns. So why do I need to create a structure? Now I can directly go for inline data declaration. Inline data declaration. Okay. Inline data declaration. You can specify the column separation. And before internal table, we need to go for escaping of host variables. Why do we need to go for that? The simple reason is, for example, let's say I am passing this from Mara table, and here I am declaring one internal table with the same name Mara, right? With the same name Mara. I can definitely declare that. SAP should not have any problem. But now, how will SAP distinguish between this table name and internal table name? So that is why a new concept was added, which is escaping of host variable. That is, before your variable and internal table, always we need to use at the rate. Always we need to use at the rate. See, no error, right? Directly you can pass the table name as internal table also. So LT Are you able to understand how this new ABAP syntax is going to change our life? Directly write the logic over
Yes.
that. Now this loop, so here see this ls Mara, I have commented it out its declaration. So I will just go for data keyword and I will also declare it at the runtime. No need to declare it before, directly declaring at the runtime. See, activate it. Inline data declaration. Execute. We are getting the results, right? We are getting the result. Okay.
Mhm.
So this one is one thing. If you want, instead of looping, so let's first copy it out. Copy. We can directly go for field symbol also now. So instead of loop, we can directly go for into assigning field symbols directly. So field symbol at the runtime again. Nothing at the, we are directly declaring everything whenever we need it. So let's say I'm naming it FS Mara for my field symbol, and now I will replace all this thing with the FS Mara. So let's copy it, FS Mara. So FS Mara, FS Mara, FS Mara, and FS Mara. Okay, let's activate it. See, no error. Execute, same results, right? Same results. Okay.
Mhm.
With new ABAP syntax, now we can also pass this literals directly into our SQL query also. So for example, let's say I want to pass a literal while writing a logic. So I'll comment out everything and I'll go for the next things. So let's say I want something else. So select, uh, let's say I want to combine my name. So Amrit, and I want to combine it while writing the logic. So I'll give a space and then I'll do the combination with Matner as material number. Let's say material number from Mara table, again into table table @data lt_mara, so data lt_mara, right? And I'll go for display, so let's display it using our CL demo output. Display okay, let's check. Now what is happening here? Just check. Can you see this Amrit name has been combined with all the material numbers? All the material numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the material numbers. But is it has been combined inside directly database and it has been saved into database? No. This is just performing a operation. Code push down is the approach here. So here what we are adding our own text, we are adding our own literals directly using the SQL query. We are pushing it directly into the HANA, right? We are adding our own text. This was one more feature of new ABAP syntax, that we can directly pass the literals in SQL, directly in SQL. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
right? All right. So lots of feature SAP gave which we can directly use with this new ABAP syntax. Okay. Then we can go for this string concatenation also. So for example, let's say if I want to go for string concatenation, if I want to combine multiple string. So earlier how I used to combine multiple string, I was doing this data, right, LV string. Remember this thing, string 1, some value, then Amrit, then I'll go for another one, LV string 2, type string value Raj. But what if I want single quotes inside it? How will I do this combination? How will I do that? That was a difficult stuff. We need to use this two extra double quotes if you want a single quotes inside the string. That was also a problem. So what SAP did, it introduced a new operation that you don't need to go for all these things. Just declare your object. So directly data LV string, I'll declare it using inline data declaration, and I will directly pass here using new syntax. So I am Amrit, directly passing here Amrit. See, with single quotes also it is allowed. No problem in that. No problem in that. Let's check for error. No error. Activate it. So we can directly do the combination. So write LV string and activate it and execute it. See, with single quotes also. Single quotes also. If you want to pass directly some value inside it, for example, let's say I'm creating a parameter. I'm creating a parameter of username. Okay, and I will pass that username at the runtime from parameters, and let's pass it in start of selection. And here instead of this one, I want to pass that variable directly, so we can use that thing also. We can use directly here single this curly braces, and using this curly braces we can pass our PAR num directly, or variable here, directly variable here. Whatever variable you will take input from the user, same thing will be stored here. So let's activate and check. I'll pass here ln See, I am Ellen. If I am Mukul, here Mukul will be displayed, right? If I am Amrit, here Amrit will be displayed. So SAP came with lots new things that instead of writing 100 lines of code, we can sort our code within 10 and 15 lines, right? Why do we need to waste our time? Why do we need to waste our time? Okay, are you getting my point?
Yes.
Okay, then value expression is also a part of it. So value expression, corresponding or value expression, which we can use to move data from one internal table to another one directly. One internal table to another one is there corresponding, and value expression is there for easy storing of data. So for example, let's say, what should I do? Let's say I've created a structure for my employee. So I will create my structure for column employee ID type. It's data element. So employee ID, employee name type. It's data element. So employee name. Okay. And I'll go for end of ty employee. Okay. This one. Now I want to store data. So earlier, if we were manually storing the data, how we used to store data? So we used to create our internal table first. So lt employee type table of ty underscore employee, and then ls employee type ty underscore employee. This was what we were doing, right? And then we were using ls employee employee id is equal to 101, then ls employee name is equal to Amrit, then append ls employee to lt employee and clear the work area. Clear the work area. Then just go for the next one. This is how we were manually storing the data if we are not writing the direct logic, direct SQL query. This is how we were storing the data, right? Appending one record one by one. You remember that? Now with value expression coming into the picture, within a single line we can pass out everything. We don't need this to declare the data object directly. What we can do, we will directly declare one internal table. So we will declare, one table type we will declare using the types keyword. I will name it, let's say lt data type table of this structure ty employee, and I'll pass one default key. So default key. Now using this lt data, we can directly create our output. So data lt employee internal table is equal to value expression, this table type, which is lt data, and we will directly store our records. So first record employee id is equal to 101, employee name, not comma, employee name is equal to, let's say, Amrit Raj. Okay, and then similarly we can go for multiple records also. So again comma will not be given, no comma. Okay, next record employee id is equal to 102, employee name is equal to, let's say, Mukul, right? Then we go for another records. So employee id is equal to 103, employee name is equal to Ellen, right? And end it. Just see here within single line. Let me check for error first. No error. So within single line, how many records we have inserted? 3 records, right? Because of this value expression. Now you can display and check whether we are getting correct results or not. CL demo output, display, and my internal table. So LT employee, right? Check it. Execute. See, 3 records we are getting, right? 3 records we are getting. 3 records we are getting. Are you able to understand what I am telling here?
Yes.
Yes.
Within a single line, we can directly declare we can directly store multiple data in the internal table. This is your value expression. So value expression. Then one we have corresponding also. So we have corresponding keyword is also there, used to transfer data from one internal table to another. So for example, let's say I'm creating one more internal table LTEMP, and I want to transfer the data from this internal table LT employee to LTEMP. So what I can do is I can directly use corresponding keyword followed by this table type. So this is a table type LT data. So LT data is my table type here, and in the parenthesis we will directly pass our internal table name, which stores the initial records, and data will be transferred from this internal table to LTEMP. So let's change it to LTEMP and check. Activate it. Execute. See, we are getting records the same thing from our LTEMP directly. Okay. LTEMP directly. Are you getting my point? What is happening here?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the one thing. This is how you can store data. So this is value expression, and this is corresponding keyword. Also, if you have declared the already internal table, if you don't want to go for all these things, so if you directly have your internal table, let's remove this in table type also. Directly, if you have your internal table, that is LT employee type table of your TY employee, then what you can do is you can directly use the value has expression. So value has expression, that is your LT employee is equal to value has, and we are simply storing the data now in the same format as it was stored. So see, so for table type, if you are using the table type, we need to use the table type, value table type. But if you directly have your that data object, if you directly have your internal table, then you can directly use the value has expression. And now see, I'll change it to LT employee and activate it, put it. See, it is still returning the same result, right? Is it clear?
Yes.
So this is new ABAP syntaxes, and you cannot master it within a single day. You'll have to practice it again and again 100 times, more than that also. Coding is all about writing logics. Watching videos cannot make us a perfect coder unless and until we are practicing it again and again. Okay? Is it clear? New ABAP syntaxes, basics of OData service. So just go through that and practice it.